Hello, interwebs! Welcome to another episode of the Transnerdy podcast. I'm your host, Jessie Earl, and today as always, we are going to be talking about two topics, one transgender related and one nerdy related. And so, for today's first topic, what I wanted to talk about was something that people may have a bit of misconceptions or not even any knowledge of within the transgender community, and how even though a lot of transgender people deal with it, and that is electrolysis. So, what is electrolysis? Well, first off, the main goal of electrolysis is to have hair removal, permanent hair removal, in many different areas of the body. Now, it's very obvious why, especially trans people like me, going from male to female, would want to get electrolysis, to get permanent hair removal, to remove your beard. Because one thing that a lot of people may not know is that when someone's transitioning from male to female, when you start taking estrogen, while it does limit hair growth, you're not growing hair as much on your face, you are actually still going to be growing hair continually. Like I still, right now, even though I've started getting electrolysis on my face, and even though I've already, had sexual reassignment surgery and have been taking hormones for about 2.5, 3 years now, I still grow facial hair. I never really grew a lot of facial hair before any transitioning things, but I did grow some. So a lot of people don't really realize that about the trans community, is that a lot of trans people are constantly growing facial hair, and they have to deal with that. So a permanent solution is really important. Now, a common and maybe slightly easier, and actually definitely easier solution for permanent hair removal is laser hair removal, where they use a laser to sort of try and kill the follicles on your face. And that's more common. A lot of people use that, even who aren't in the transgender community. But the problem with that, especially for someone like me, who my hair is a bit more of it's more like a strawberry blondish hair color, a little lighter red. It used to be very red when I was a kid. But my beard hair and hair everywhere else besides my hair, my head hair, grows in very, very red. And if your hair is very, very red, laser hair removal doesn't work. I don't know the logistics on it. There are some reasons for it, but for the most part, it doesn't work. I actually got laser hair removal on my face, did absolutely nothing. I wasted about $1,000 on that. So that was fun because no one bothered to tell me that it probably wouldn't work on red hair. Go figure. I guess they just wanted the $1,000. So, for a lot of people, the solution is to use electrolysis. Now, there is something that people don't really realize about hair removal in the transgender community, and that you actually don't just want to get it for your hair, for your facial hair, if you're planning on going through sexual reassignment surgery. Now, the reason for that, and again, I can only speak from a male to female's perspective. I actually don't know much about what hair removal, if any, goes on with the female to male community of the transgender world. So I'm only speaking from my experience and my knowledge of my own half of the transgender community. But where was I going? I know I had a point. I promise you. Um, but yes, one of the main reasons that you actually do want to get hair removal is actually in the genital area if you're planning on getting sexual reassignment surgery. And the reason for that is, if any of you have heard my previous podcast about sexual reassignment surgery, what they do if you're going to take your penis and make it into a vagina, a neo-vagina, they actually sort of essentially, gross imagery, and but they essentially peel your penis like a banana in a way and put it inside of you. Now you have hair growing on your penis and a lot in your genital area, and that goes inside of you, and you definitely don't want hair growing inside your vagina. That's just not healthy. There's a lot of problems with that. Number one, it's kind of gross. Just putting that out there. And then the other thing is with that is it can cause a lot of problems, ingrown hairs, pain. It causes easier infections, a lot of things like that. This is just a really big problem to have. So you actually do want to make sure you get permanent hair removal before you actually get sexual reassignment surgery. That is actually a big important thing that they ask you to do when beginning the process to getting the surgery. So I had to get electrolysis on my penis before I got sexual reassignment surgery. So let's get into it a little bit more. What is electrolysis? So electrolysis is essentially they take this wire, this sort of electric wire, and they put it down each individual hair follicle. Because each one of your hair follicles, if you, yeah, you can look at my face. I don't, yeah, like, oh, here's my chin. It's slightly scratchy because I still have beard hair. Um, well, each hair follicle has a shaft. And yes, I said shaft, so deal with that. But each hair follicle does indeed have a shaft. So they take this little wire and put it down alongside each individual hair follicle. And this can take a very long time because you have a lot of hair follicles. They take this wire and they go down to the root of the hair follicle and they zap it with a little bit of electricity, hopefully killing that hair follicle, or at least making it smaller. Sometimes they have to do this 3 or 4 times per hair follicle, and obviously they can't do it all at the same time because you have to zap it once, wait a few weeks to months for that hair to grow back, and then zap it again so it has a new root to kill. So the process of electrolysis can actually take a very long time because, number one, you have to go into each individual hair shaft follicle. And then number two, you actually have to wait for it to die and then regrow and then die and then regrow, die, regrow a few times. The process can take up to 2 years, maybe even longer if you're sort of an unfortunate soul. But thereabouts from at least a year and a half to 2 years for most people. So I have recently, I had to get electrolysis on my penis for surgery, but I never got it on my face because I didn't really care that much. I liked the ability to have a beard for a little while because I do identify as more gender fluid. But recently I've been feeling more diaphoric, uncomfortable with having beard hair just in general. So I wanted to start getting electrolysis and looking into that process on my face. So I did get a couple sessions, and I'm planning on doing a few more. And first off, it's expensive, $75 per session. That's the cheapest end I could find at a decent place. Most will go up to $100 per session per hour. So if you do an hour-long session, it takes about $100. Anyways, so I did the process, and basically you lay down, and a nice person usually just gets over your face and zaps your face for a good hour, and it is not comfortable. I'm not gonna say I'm like gonna be crying or anything about it, but it was quite painful. Actually, very very painful to sit there for an hour while someone shocked your face full of electricity. Even when I was listening to like podcasts or things to distract me, it still wasn't very fun. And you can use numbing creams and things like that, but not it's not super encouraged, but you can. I don't necessarily know the reasons behind why it's encouraged or not encouraged or things like that. But I didn't use any, and it hurt a lot, it hurt like a motherfucker, and so what happened afterwards is my face was very red and cracky and dry, and like a lot of pus came out. That's not a super common thing, but it did happen with me, where there was a lot of pus on my face afterwards. Like I just had to wipe away, and I'd feel like this like film of pusness, gross on my face. It wasn't like super obvious. It wasn't like my face was like oozing, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. But it was, you could definitely feel something on my face if you were to come up and touch it. So yeah, it's not exactly a wonderful experience. Now imagine that on a penis or testicles or the whole genital area, and you can imagine how much that hurt. And how uncomfortable that is as well to sort of pull out your penis and have someone sort of poking it with a electric rod for an hour, several times a week for a few months. Yeah, it's like I'm already uncomfortable with my penis, so let's just zap it full of electricity for a decent amount of time. That's gonna be fun. That's my idea of a good rip roaring time. Woo! Um, but in the end, even after all that time, it is worth it because the doing it on my genitals has helped me get the surgery that I really wanted for the longest time. And also, getting on my face will hopefully make me feel more comfortable about my facial features and things like that. When I am not super comfortable with having, like right now, I still have stubble on my chin because I haven't shaved today, and I don't like having that feel on my face. It just makes me uncomfortable. And so it sucks that I have to pay that much money. And I know I could just shave, but again, you still always have that feeling, like, no matter how close your shave is, your face never feels completely smooth. And you always have to shave every single day. And in the end, maybe it's, I pay a lot more money up front for a few months, but then after that, I save a lot end in the back end with razors. So there is that trade-off as well. And yeah, so I think emotionally getting electrolysis is worth it. It just sucks that it's so expensive and so time consuming and painful for a lot of transgender people. And again, not only transgender people get electrolysis, just like not only transgender people get laser hair removal, but it is a common thing within the community to do. And the reasons why are not always obvious. Like, no, I didn't know. I didn't even know until I was near getting the surgery that I needed to get electrolysis on my genital area. Had no idea until I actually started that process. So it was a good learning experience for me in the most uncomfortable way possible. But yeah, you do what you have to do. And yeah, that was topic 1 on electrolysis. So thank you for listening.